This is already like my 115 intro. Okay. Hey there guys, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are having a great day and a great time. And today I'm gonna bring a really spicy topic of Black Lives Matter. Everyone has been talking about like why Black Lives Matter, and like people have been discriminated for a really long time, but no one really talks about how this all started. So here I'm gonna talk about why and how millions of Africans were forced into slavery, how there are permanent consequences for people living in Africa, the Caribbean, North and South America, and the Western Europe. And I am also gonna highlight why this protest is extremely necessary, because the story has been neglected by too many for too long. So stay tuned. First of all, let me tell you, I work for the National Museums Liverpool, and to be specific, I work for the International Slavery Museum. So all the facts that I'm going to be presenting here is stated there. So it's not false, okay? Everything has been researched. So let me start from the beginning. Africa is a vast continent providing home to millions of its people. Discovered by Europeans in the 15th century, Africa was neither backward nor forward compared with the Western Europe, obviously. The rich and diverse culture in Africa simply just made it different. That's what it was. Okay, you might be wondering why slavery, why lots of people were forced into slavery. Let me tell you the basic story, okay? So, when European explorers discovered Americas in the 15th and 16th century, they exploited the land for the good, for the riches. Initially, Portugal and Spain took the lead in this, followed later by England, France, and the Netherlands. And these were the countries that started that developed the transatlantic slave trade. The Portuguese began growing sugar in Brazil, and as the demands grew, the small sugar factories were then made into a bigger plantation, which needed more and more workers to work for. So the local labor were not sufficient because lots of the working population had died after the colonization of the land, and many were killed in battles and others were worked to death, especially in the mines. Hence, European colonists searched for the continent of Africa to supply them with laborers. And this is how the transatlantic slave trade started. And this is how they were forcefully transported. These pieces of metals that I'm showing in the video were their ornaments. Like, how painful and uncomfortable is that? Like, they were transported in this way. Like, I don't even have words to say. What was done to those laborers that was transported so forcefully? Laborers were made to work and not paid enough, obviously. They were bought and sold like toys in the ports, for example, of Liverpool. That's why Liverpool holds this International Slavery Museum, because again, the main motto is the story has been forgotten by too many for too long. You know, when they were sold, the healthier they looked, the more their prices were. Most of the times, labor were oiled to make them look shinier and to make them look more appealing so that the buyers would give more money for them. But what is now considered ridiculous was actually legal at that time. For example, take a look at this news. It was published in one of the newspapers in the Great Britain. Wow. This is just an example. There are many more if you visit there. The question might arise, like, why would they not escape? Why would they just, endure everything and just stay there? Well, of course, yes, no one wants to be treated that way. And there were people who tried to escape, but what happened to them stopped other people from escaping. As I already mentioned, they were forced to stay. Anyone who tried to escape was thought to have a mental illness, so they were caught, brought back in front of those people. They were beaten to death so that no one among the community would dare to escape again. This is the modern piece of art, and the description the artist gave for this piece of art is: the sculpture physically reflects the emotion I felt discovering this piece of curtain. It made me think of the disowned bride. She has a sex, but any possibility of the maternity has been removed. Her child does not belong to her. That is why she does not have the breast and the womb in this piece of art. And also to mention, the iron used in this work is actually from the sugar plantation, which was used to hook the barrel of rums. That was my favorite one though. This is my second favorite art from the International Slavery Museum. It's the UK's diaspora, and it is really conceptual. This piece of art is actually shaped in the shape of UK, and everything that is in here is in one way or the other involved in slavery. Right side? Yes, there is some right side too. These individuals have contributed in many different ways to abolish slavery, and their honored picture and their contribution can be found in the walls of the International Slavery Museum, again located in Liverpool. Some of the most popular dishes in America arrived as a transatlantic slave trade, like it came from Africa originally. From the shores of Africa, enslaved Africans brought the sounds, rhythms, heartbeats, and most of the music we enjoy today. Now, the small community has expanded into a vast community, and the sun never sets in the children of Africa. That's a good way of looking at it, guys. And even though slavery have been abolished in the written works, children of Africa still face the heartbreaking consequences of the translating slavery till the present date. George Floyd's case is a recent example that clearly explains that lives are treated differently based on the color of the skin. Killings, racist comments, discriminations solely based on the color of skin and where you come from is actually a ridiculous thing that we experience in our society. Now that I have given you a brief history of why racism exists, why black lives are not treated equally, do you still think it is their fault? Do you still think it is right for us to stay quiet? Do you still think they don't deserve the equal rights that everyone else around the country is experiencing? Do you still think white is beautiful and black isn't? Do you not think all of our lives are equal and every life matters? And over the period of the transatlantic slavery, Africa helped develop Europe on the same proportion as Western Europe helped underdevelop Africa. If African multiple resources were used in her own development, they could have placed her among the modernized countries in the world. However, her resources have been and still are being used for the greater development of the overseas interest, which needs to stop. It is only fair on the mother Africa if all the racism ends from every people's heart. Then only this impact of slavery will actually be over, not only from the written list, written laws, but also from the society itself. The charity begins at home, so stop passing racist comments on someone else, even if they're not around. Respect comes from within. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for staying tuned until now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like this video, please give this video a big thumbs up, and do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I post new videos every time I get new ideas. And I thought this video was important because everyone has been talking about Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, and I don't know many more. But I think absolutely necessary for all the people to know why this all started in the first place. And I think everyone needs to realize that having a certain color of the skin makes you no less of a human. All lives matter, and at this moment, because black lives have been discriminated and not treated well for a really long time, even though all the paperwork states all the rights have been given, they are not actually given. And all this happened back from 15th century. The story has been untold by too many for too long, and now this is our chance to end slavery from the bottom of our heart. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.